Well, I'm tickled pink. I was looking over the comments. My last question about the spur gear here being the way it is. And sure as shit, Andrew Williams is the freaking winner. I took a good look in here, and I think I can actually get this fix done without having to remove the transmission. I don't know if that's the lazy way of doing things or not, but I have a couple screws here, a couple bolts right there. I think there's a bolt on the bottom for this. There's a couple bolts there, and a bolt on the bottom down here. And I'll be able to take that out, this out. I'm gonna just pull this off, pull this out, remove these 3 screws out of here, and then you probably can't see it. I'm not even gonna try, but I looked in this gap, and sure enough, there are 3 screws in there, offset from these 3 in the front, that are out. That is exciting news. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to pull this out and pull this spur gear off. Tighten that bad boy up. Put this back on. Tighten it up. Loctite. Thank you, Andrew Williams. Thank you. And then we should be able to rip. We should, yeah, very soon. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get digging into it on that and try to just edit and get this all in one video, but that is fantastic. So we'll get started on this. All right, so you see what we got here. I took these 2 bolts out of the side, 2 silver bolts over there, and then I took the bolt out of the top of this little pivot point for a servo here. That went into here. I pulled that off of there, the bearing. Clean that up. I pulled that over there. But that gives me full access for those screws. So there's 3 screws on this spur. Once I pull that off, there's 3 spurs on the screw behind it. 3 screws on the spur behind it. So we'll dig into that. Get those screws out. Well, this is where we're sitting so far. I got the spur out. The first one, 3 little Phillips screws. And now I can't figure out how to get this thing off. I need to get this off in order to tighten these screws there. See, there's a screw right there. It's one of the ones that are loose. Another one right there, loose. The other one, loose. Great piece of advice there. But now I need to figure out how to get this off of there to get behind there. So, back to the drawing board. I think I'm going to go up to the laptop and see what's going on. All right, we'll be back. Well, all right, I just had to take a quick break here, real quick intermission or whatever, because, well, see, it takes me days to really get anything done, because, looking ADHD. But anyway, yeah, so I had to go and get a socket for these. Now I've had 5th scale, this is an 8th scale apparently, and I've had 5th scale RCs, HPI Baja and a Red Cat, what was that, Rampage monster truck, and they had 22 millimeter hexes. So I got rid of that stuff when I got rid of those things, you know, and I have no 22 millimeter hex. I was like, what the hell? So I actually went out and I bought a 22 millimeter hex socket to all my hexes, and sure as shit, where the hell is it? 22 millimeters. All they had was deep. So I got excited and I put it on there, and sure enough, man, too small. So then I had to go, and I was like, well, let me go find a 23 millimeter. Because I remember the guy that I got it from actually mentioned that, and I just wasn't paying attention or something, so I went on the search. Now, there's that story about the 10 millimeters being the ever elusive socket. Let me tell you something. Just to get a 23 millimeter socket, which I finally did, I had to order it. I went to the hardware store, and there was 22 and 24. No, 23. So, sure enough. Yep. That makes me happy. But we have a 22 inch anyway, or a 22 millimeter now anyway. So, we're planning ahead for maybe another fifth scale at some point. Let me get digging back in this thing and see what I can do to get this off. Last thing I had learned was this is actually a T nut just screwed onto a bolt. Once I get this off, this will slide off, and then I can tighten those screws back in behind this thing there. So I'll hold this stable and unscrew this, stick something through there and unscrew that. Theoretically, looking on paper, we'll see how this goes. I'll be back in a second. Well, this is where we're sitting. So we've got that all back together, Loctited. So the original issue I did all this was because this gear here had a movement back and forth like this. I mean, floppy. It was twisty, floppy, just turny. It just looked like shit. I ran it around here on the floor in the basement here, a couple times, reverse, checked it out and made sure it actually was mobile and was able to move. But then I put the question out there, and they said that there was three screws, for fuck's sake, 3 screws loose on this gear. So I'm like, well, how do I get in there? So I took this off like a dummy. I took these off, these 3 screws out, and I pulled this off, and then there's this piece in here that covers the 3 screws. Son of a gun. So then I was trying to figure out how to get that whole thing off, which is actually this. Turns out that this right here is a T-bolt, or a T-nut. So this is just a nut that screws on there. This has a little hole in there to actually, what I did is I put the ice pick through there, and it was so loose. Okay, so I don't have a suggestion on if it's tight and you're trying to get it undone, but it was so loose that I actually put an ice pick through here, and then I line this up to one of these hexes in here, and I used that to hold it, and I was able to loosen that. It just barely popped loose, and I was able to take that off with my fingers. I removed that. I removed the whole thing, and so I cleaned it, cleaned the gears, cleaned the screws, Loctited it, and then Loctited this one, and then I Loctited this T-nut. And look at that. We're ready to have the good testing. Actually take it outside and see what it does. I'm gonna get the engine back in. I probably should let this dry for a day, or at least till this evening, and then go from there. But let me get the engine in there, get that Loctited in, get it adjusted. I know it's adjusted in the proper spot right now, but I want to Loctite it just to make sure that it stays. And then we'll see what happens. All right then. Catch you in a minute. Well, back together. I just gotta say thank you again to Andrew Williams for suggesting that I look in here for those screws. They had worked themselves loose, and so I have taken it apart, Loctited Loctited multiple things in there and put it back together. I had it started just a little bit ago. It definitely needs some tuning. I had it all over the damn place. It was revving high, revving low, it was burning hot. So I'm gonna back to the drawing board for starting and running it, because I probably should let those Loctite nuts, screws, things or do their thing anyway. But me, I'm impatient. So go make dinner. Then I'm gonna come down here and we'll mess with the tuning. But anyway, as I was messing with it and starting it, and when I did start it, I have to share that it went through all 3 gears. So I had that son of a bitch revved up so fast, just wham, 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 went through all 3 gears. So I know it will at least do that in the present tuning of the transmission. So I am really excited to actually get the engine where it needs to be, and then we'll take it outside for a rip. The roads are just a disaster right now. I don't want to take it out there on the roads. The previous owner, or one of the previous owners, had, that's where this is, or what this is, where this had come from. It's salt. That's what salt will do to your chassis. So I mean, if you look at it, there's rust on the servo screws, rust on the springs, but well, here we are. You know me, I'm going to send it. So yeah, that's what I've got going on here. I'm going to mess some more with the tuning, and we'll see how that goes. Rough. All right, well, why is she running so fucking weird? Yeah. Damn. Tune. It's hot as hell. I got it too hot. I shouldn't let it get that hot. But here we are. Let it cool off. And fire up again and see where we're at. So far, here we are. The fuck was that? The fuck was that? What the fuck was that? So, been asking myself for a couple days. When I was down here the other day, I'm running this CEN, this GST. I had it running. Well, you saw just a little bit ago. Um, the weird idle. But then when I came back, I started it again, and I did end up getting through a full tank of fuel. Um, but it, I had one part where it was shifting, like for some reason, like shifted back and forth, back and forth, back and forth while it was idling kind of high. So the gearbox was I was like, oh my God, I've lost it. I've lost it. Here we go. The transmission's going to blow. We made it through that. Luckily, this thing is apparently built pretty tough. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go through and lube all the linkages. Let me show you. Yeah, so I'm gonna loosen these up so that I don't have a chance of knocking this like I did last time. I'm gonna loosen all these up just so that I can tune the engine without having to worry about maybe possibly hitting something or something getting stuck, you know. Then I'm actually gonna adjust all the linkages once I get the engine tuned. Adjust all the linkages to where they're nice, because I mean this is a little ridiculous here. This doesn't even serve a purpose right now. The servo doesn't even go that far. So there's stuff like that I need to get adjusted. But that's after I get the engine tuned. I'm gonna get that tuned. Start working on that here, maybe tonight, and get that tuned up where it's running good. And then we'll work on the linkages, get those adjusted to where they need to be. After I get the linkages adjusted, then we'll make sure that the transmission is where it needs to be. But I actually, at one point when I was messing around, I got the throttle stuck, and it zoomed through 3 gears. It shifted. I was like amazed. So we'll see. Anyway, that's what's going on so far. I'm gonna get these lubed up. I'll be back after that. Well, let's see how this goes. I'm going to bring my tuning device with me. I think we're going in on the low end. You have to tell me. I'm not exactly sure. Yes, I had it out here earlier. Lean on the low end. check the drivetrain. Looks like a front wheel drive strong. Oh. See, that's me hitting the brakes. So I hit the brake and it calms down a little bit. There we go, bottom dead center. Yeah, I mean, she's hot. Tell me, lean on the low end? I don't mess around with the low end much, so, and this is a lot bigger rig than I'm used to, so I'm awful curious to see what you've got to say about it. Yeah. But that's what we got. She's running. She's mobile. I haven't hit the 2-speed, 3-speed baby out here, just for the simple fact that I am going to have to take it in and WD-40 it down, because they do use a salt sand mixture back here, and I'm going to blow it off and dry it off and all that good stuff, but I'll have to WD-40 it to try to prevent more rust. I mean, she's got a little rust as it is, but that's it, boys and girls. That is what's going on here. I'm gonna put her away for now and clean her up. Well, clean her up and then put her away for now and do a little more tuning, we'll get her ready for summer. A little ways away. Still got a frozen lake. Who knows? Maybe we'll get out there later. All right, that's what's going on.